Hey everyone, Dr. Brad here from drellisor.com and the Kids Eating Broccoli podcast. And I have been having the most awesome conversations with the experts that we are interviewing for our podcast. And also just all the work I've been doing the last 17 years in the healing and health care field and working on this one problem, which is many parents find it really hard to have their kids eat healthy. And we see the signs of this everywhere. We see, skyrocketing childhood obesity and other chronic illnesses that didn't used to afflict our children. It didn't used to afflict us until we were older, elderly people. Type 2 diabetes and heart disease and cancers. And we're seeing these showing up in younger and younger kids. And so I really set out on this journey of the Kids Eating Broccoli podcast, Kids Eating Broccoli as a movement. To support parents to help their kids eat healthier, to really set up habits for a lifetime of healthy eating, healthy life, good functioning bodies, good functioning brains, so that our health or our children's health is not something that holds them back from succeeding and doing the things they want in life. It's actually something that supports them in doing that. And our journey really to touch 10 million families or 20 million families, and really to make the next generation the best generation in history, rather than the direction that things seem to be going, at least health-wise, where our kids' generation, or my kids' generation, my kids are young, it is right now the first generation in recorded history that is expected to have a lower lifespan than their parents, than my generation. And that's profound, that's astounding, because typically it goes the other way, where each successive generation has a better chance of living longer. As we learn things about health and as we learn things about sanitation, that was a huge one in the last few generations, all those communicable diseases. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why I'm so passionate about the Kids Eating Broccoli podcast. That's why these awesome experts in this field of nutrition and health and children's health are out there, willing to give their time to this project and be interviewed and share their pearls of wisdom. And so what I wanted to cover today was where healthy eating for our children begins. And where that really begins is here. It begins with us, with the parents. We have to be the example for our kids to follow. And when I say that, the first thing that might come to mind is, I got to eat healthier, or I do eat healthy, and so why don't my kids eat healthy? But the example goes well beyond just that I eat salad every day, or I eat a green smoothie every day. It really goes to the point of how we interact with our food as individuals, and how we treat our body in terms of what really works for us, what fits for us, whether we're really approaching our own health and our own healing from the inside out, or whether we're trying to put outside in constructs on our eating and what we think is supposed to be healthy. So, for example, there are a lot of diets and things like that going around that are popular, and we can read any book that'll tell us how to eat. And if we do that, and then we try to impose that onto our structure of eating, even if we might not feel the best, or even if it isn't pleasant, we have to struggle to do it, our kids pick up on all that stuff. We know that they do what we do rather than what we say. And it's not just what we do, it's how we interact with life. And so the most important place to start to look, if we want to make a change in the health and the healthy lifestyle habits of our family and of our children in particular, we really have to start looking inside, and we really have to become much more mindful and much more self-aware of our own health habits and our own interaction with our health habits. Are we excited to eat that food that's full of life and take time to learn about new flavors and these types of things, or do we just sort of stuff it in our mouths as fast as we can, staring at our little screens the whole time? What is our relationship to our food? Because our kids are watching, and they're always watching us, and whether we like it or not, they're always watching us. And so that's really where it begins, because when we can be that example, they're also watching that too. And the ideas and even the knowledge, the scientific knowledge of how to eat and what's healthy and what's not is always changing. And also it's just changing because the way our food is produced is always being changed. And now we have GMOs. We didn't have that a few generations ago. Now we have because of artificial sweeteners that didn't exist a couple of generations ago. And so those things are always changing. And having a basic foundation, understanding of healthy stuff and eating organic and not GMO, that's all valuable and important. I talk to my kids about that a lot. But if there's one thing that I hope and want to impart on them, it is to really pay attention to how you feel when you're eating certain ways and how different foods affect the way you feel, your energy levels, how clear your mind works, and to start understanding what the exchange, the energetic exchange is with food. These are other life forms, right? Fruits, vegetables, animals, depending on what you eat. And they're giving their energy. They're collecting energy, basically. And then we take that energy and we use it for our own purposes. And so how that interaction works and where we have that energy exchange and what that really means. And, we don't necessarily have big, long philosophical conversations about it or anything like that. I mean, my kids are 9 and 6 and 2. But we talk about things, that when they go places and, the other kid's birthday party or something like that, and eat a bunch of cake or pizza and cake and things that I would never feed them. But they have that experience, and then we talk about, how do you feel afterwards? And now my oldest daughter, she'll volunteer that. She'll be like, oh, I'm not feeling so good. It probably was that whatever, such and such that I ate. And that hooking that up is so much more important to her life going forward and the healthy choices she will or won't make than knowing, it's against the rules for me to eat this cake or to eat this pizza. It's having that, maybe, who knows, maybe she needs to have that experience 100 times and then she'll make a different choice. Maybe she only needs that one more time. Maybe she's done. I don't know. And I can't force that with her. I have to help her experience, in a relevant way. So I encourage you to really look at you first. Look at your own eating, your own mindfulness around nutrition and your mindfulness around eating. Is it something that you are self-aware and mindful about? Do you consider the energetic exchange? Do you consider the flavors? Do you consider enjoyment, but also how it's going to feel later, how your body responds to different foods? Or do you mindlessly stuff food into your mouth while you have a little screen in front of you? And and I'm not saying that like to make anybody wrong or anything, but just keep in mind that our kids are watching. Not only that, our own health suffers when we do that. I just heard about a study that said that we eat 25% more calories in a meal if we're looking at a screen while we're eating. And that's amazing. How many people could lose this weight that they're having so much trouble losing just by stopping looking at a screen when they eat, because they do all the time. And so that mindfulness and that self-awareness is so vital. So that was the tip I wanted to share today. The first place we look when we're trying to change our own lifestyle, and particularly with our kids and their health habits going forward. So this is Dr. Brad from drellisor.com and the Kids Eating Broccoli podcast. You take care.